Glasses up. Hey everybody, Books and Booze podcast. Today we're drinking, it's Evan Williams 2004. And I got it at this place called High Times. It's like a small batch. I don't know, it's a bourbon.
It's a liquor store or a dispensary?
It's a liquor store called High Times, and they have all this expensive booze, but the name is not, it sounds like a dispensary. What do you think of the bourbon?
Oh, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, I'm getting into the bourbons. And the Evan Williams is good, pretty affordable price, like $30. Today we're reviewing a book by Seth Godin that I just found out about. It's called Placebo. We'll put a link in the show notes, but you can't actually find this on Amazon. It's kind of a... Seth Godin has all these little like side projects and things.
Yeah, so this book is kind of weird. I actually want to talk a little bit about that. Maybe you might want to edit that out.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I told you about it. I sent you a text, like, just Google it.
Yeah, so when you say book, I'm looking for a book, a PDF, Kindle, and it's kind of like, it's a PowerPoint slide. A PowerPoint is a Microsoft brand. It's like a slideshow with text on it. It's 25 slides. I don't know how many words that is, but it was, and it's written in bullet points.
Some big, like, one page will be like a single quote.
Yeah.
I think it's part of some coursework he's doing for this class that I just heard about.
That was interesting because then there was also this class, and I was like, oh, do we have to sign? Is that what we're doing? Are we signing up for this class, and we're reviewing this class? And yeah, the slideshow corresponds to the class, and actually I think the last slide says, if you're interested in this, or something to the effect of, it wasn't a sales pitch, it wasn't if you're interested in this, it was this course that I'm doing, we talked more about this. There was some mention of the slideshow or the book being part of a course. Yeah.
One more little side note real quick. Derek is out of town, Matt's busy, so you got just me and Brian today.
Oh yeah, this is weird.
It's with Seth Godin. We're focused on business.
Derek's a pastor, so we got him out of the picture. And then what's Matt's line of work?
Matt he works at a popular restaurant here in Southern California, and he also does.
And what's he aspiring to really do?
He's trying to be work for a school. He's like a coach at a school. Like he worked his way up to be like a teacher.
Okay, so like an educator or / coach.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got the business guys.
The business folks.
We got rid of the humanities people.
Yeah, we're the ones looking to make some money, not just the small.
I
want to make money and help people instead of just. Anyway, so Placebo, the whole kind of crux of this book is talking about placebos. Placebos have been around for a very long time, and you guys know what it is. It's basically like they'll do these medical tests where they'll give somebody a sugar pill, and they'll say this will help. I'll give you an example from the book. So they talk about people with lower back pain, and they did all these tests to figure out what's a good alternative treatment to lower back pain, and they said acupuncture was one of the best treatments, but they also found that fake acupuncture showed the same results.
So I was... Right when I read that, I was like, so who do they get? Was it just some guy like you and me who's like, uses a fake, Japanese accent? Oh, yes, I will now do acupuncture. And so there's an actor in there actually doing fake acupuncture during this test.
Well, I told this to my wife, and she said, well, what's fake acupuncture? And I went, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Have you ever had acupuncture?
No.
Neither have I. I've seen it in movies, and that's about it.
But okay, I think I cut you off. But they said that the test in the study that acupuncture was the most effective, not cure, but the most effective.
It's like a treatment besides
to lower back pain. But the interesting thing is that fake acupuncture statistically was just as effective as real acupuncture, which means fake acupuncture is the most effective treatment for lower back pain.
The book did say if you're going to get acupuncture to do the real one, not the fake one.
No, that's not what it said. Actually, what he said is, if you have lower back pain and you want to get treated, the best thing to do is acupuncture. And statistically speaking, fake acupuncture is just as effective as real acupuncture. But he didn't suggest you do it. He just said you might as well go with the real acupuncture. Yeah. But his reasoning was because finding a practitioner of fake acupuncture would be very difficult.
That's true. So the kind of what the book goes into is we know the placebos are around. We know that they have some validity and work, and why not apply this to medicine and business? Because they use examples of like giving people a placebo will help symptoms of like irritable bowel syndrome, some like cancer patients doing chemo treatment,
all kinds of medical stuff.
all this stuff. On a real quick side note, I was at like a Sprouts market. It's this kind of hippie market here out in Southern California, and by the register they had this like, I think they were called stress drops. It was this little package.
Yeah.
It was in like all the impulse items.
I haven't seen it, but I know in general like what you're talking about.
So you take, the concept was, like the line was long, so I just picked up the box, and like stress drops, and it's these little drops, and you put them in like any liquid, water, or whatever else, and it's supposed to alleviate your stress, and I think the main ingredient was like saline, or like, it was not... Not anything real. There was no like...
Now we're going to piss off a bunch of people, but you know what seems exactly like that? All over Facebook, I have friends that have, I think they're called essential oils. It's basically just scented oils. And for head... So it's like a... Again, I'm going to offend people, but it's like an Avon thing. So you get into it and you sell this, and it's like there's like a kit, you know, with like lots of little vials.
Okay.
And then like when you have a headache, you know, you put a little drop of peppermint on your feet, or if you're feeling stressed, you put a little rosemary scent behind your ears. And so there's this whole like manual and this like holistic approach. But what I can't help but think is it's probably just nice to smell, and there is a huge placebo effect. But one of the things Seth Godin talks about is we should take some of the negativity out of the placebo effect, because part of the placebo effect is that placebos actually work. Placebos work.
Yeah.
So placebos are not fake. They're actually getting results, but they're getting results for reasons other than, how would you phrase that? Other than what you think they are.
Yeah. Aside from the medical part of it, and I think this is kind of where the fringe of where the oil stuff is, they also talk about how placebos are kind of effective in things like wine, computer speakers, because your perception is, if this bottle of wine costs more, it's probably going to taste better. And so that's the placebo like kind of worked in there.
Or with the wine, he also talks about with using sommeiler. Am I pronouncing that right?
I think it's sommelier.
The
guy that's got
wine
the
expert,
wine expert that tells you which one to get and all that.
Just not only having an expensive bottle, but just having a professional sommelier talk about it and say, "Oh, this is wonderful. It has deep cherry notes and an oaky finish." It's a placebo effect that actually ends up making you enjoy the wine more, just having an expert there tell you this is a great wine that you're going to enjoy.
There was another example he used. I don't know if this was true or it was just it was in passing, but he was saying that Disney World would increase wait times for certain rides even when it wasn't necessary, because by you waiting, you're building up that anticipation. You're kind of telling yourself the story, much like the wine. And then when you go on the ride, you get a better experience because you were waiting for it.
Yeah, heightened anticipation increases pleasure, is what they said. And he didn't say they used to do it, he said they still do it. So even in situations where you could just walk straight on the line, they do artificial things to make the queues longer, because people enjoy the rides more when they have to wait longer.
Yeah, and so I guess the book kind of wrestles with... not necessarily is this ethical, but because a little bit. He
outlines 3 rules for ethical use of placebos. I can't remember what any of the 3 are, but they were pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, I guess, how do you practically use this? Because I think the medicine one, that's kind of a whole separate debate for another day.
Yeah.
But at least for when you're getting wine, or like he uses speakers in the car and a couple other things, if your perception of how good these things are going to be is already heightened, and it makes your experience with the product better, regardless of if it is better, like those Beats headphones by Dre.
Yeah.
Like in a test between all the other ones, like Sennheisers and Sony and everything else, the Beats typically score pretty low in sound quality.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can wear the Beats, people know, oh, those are Beats headphones. Dr.
Yes, I think there's a placebo effect for me because I've read about the quality of the Beats headphones. So now I've worn them like in Best Buy, listened to them, and I'm like, oh, these are not that good. Because I've already read an article that says experts say these are not that good.
But I guess, so let's flip that, and let's say you read an article that said experts were saying these are good.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't notice. I would just buy the Beats headphones because that's what experts say are really good.
But so that's the point, is that your experience would be better in a sense. If, we don't really know. No one ever goes back and like looks at those tests and go, is this guy an audiologist? Like, does he really know speakers? So yeah, I don't know. I kind of wonder, because Godin talks about how the placebo is something that's done in marketing. It's kind of setting you up, getting you ready to experience these things.
That was, obviously Seth Godin's a marketer. All the books he writes are about marketing. And so when he started talking about marketing, like, it was a little fuzzy for me, like, okay, how do marketers exactly use the placebo effect? And then, as business people, as entrepreneurs, how can we use the placebo effect to our advantage? And I know he was also referencing Tribes, which is another book of his. Yeah. And so he was tying in this idea, which I haven't read Tribes, but I think I understand the basic premise. So he was saying this idea of like Tribes creating some kind of... that was all a little fuzzy for me. I wasn't quite connecting the dots on that.
He went pretty quick. The concept of tribes is, we all kind of have tribes. It's kind of like the old school when we were living in tribes, so to speak. That happens today. So we have tribes. You guys are basically a tribe of this show, so to speak. They have tribes for people that like House of Cards, your coworkers. You guys are a tribe. It's kind of this group that has some type of shared interest, some type of shared community. And so within that, you can kind of have these same placebo effects, because if you tell me, hey, I'll watch this great podcast called Books of Booze, then you tell your friend, they watch it, hey, that was really good because Brian told me it was a great show to watch. It's kind of that building on that thing, setting up the story.
So the placebo effect within a tribe is just like what the recommendation of the tribe creates a placebo effect that that everyone's going to enjoy or be benefited through whatever it is being recommended?
A little bit, I think. This is like, this book's maybe 27 pages, and this is, the important parts like this kind of got glossed over pretty quick. I mean, this is 3 sentences in a 27-page book. Yeah.
Not 27, it was 25 slides.
Oh, 25
including
slides.
The title slide and the acknowledgement slide. And that's where I kind of felt like, okay, I'm a little fuzzy here on the tactical implementation of this idea, like what exactly he's getting at. This is where you need to be in the class. Yeah. Because it's one slide, he's talking about it, and that's where you need to raise your head and say, I don't understand what's going on. Seth Godin, if you're watching this, we probably need to take your class.
Well, yeah, I
guess the impetus is on us, not on Seth Godin to explain this to us.
So I guess with that, I enjoyed reading this, but I was a little bit sad when it was done because I felt like I was getting into it, like I was kind of getting hooked. The placebo was working on me, and I was like, oh, it's done. I'm at the end of it. You can read this book in like a lunch break. Like it's a very fast read.
I think it was like 30 minutes for me to look through it, and that was with being a little fuzzy on some parts at the end.
Would you recommend people pick up this free ebook?
Yeah, definitely. It's free. It's a PDF, and it was 30 minutes. You could gloss through it in 10 minutes if you wanted to go quickly.
I think this is one of those things that even if it costs a couple bucks, I'd still recommend you pick it up, because when you go to a party or meet new people and you kind of need something to talk about, this is one of those things you can pull out real quick, because everybody's heard of placebos, but no one really knows that the same sugar pill that people are using to get better results out of medicine also applies to all these other things in marketing. And I think that's a cool concept you can bring up at a party and have stuff to talk about right away.
But another reason you should read this, so I think about this sometimes with books where I feel like I read a book and I don't walk away with like a real clear, like tactical, like here's the idea that I pulled out of this that was really, really solid. Sometimes I feel like it's a foundation for another book or another idea that I'm going to read later. So like the next time I pick up a book about placebos, which might be 5 years or it might be in 20 years, I'll go back to this and I'm kind of already primed. My mind's ruminating on the idea of placebo. So I feel like this little ebook was a primer for some other thought experiment or book that I'll read later.
Yeah, it kind of builds on other stuff, and this is this is such a small snapshot of. Like, there's all these hyperlinks in the text that I haven't clicked on, but I think they reference...
I did not click through all. I clicked through a couple of them, but I felt like, I should have clicked through more of those to understand more of what was going on.
But it was literally funneling down, like, probably a dozen medical journals that were all long. Down.
No, because in the acknowledgments, he acknowledges his research assistant, and he says that she literally read through thousands of case studies on placebos.
So that's the wide funnel down to like
thousands of case studies down into a 25-slide ebook.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll put a link in the show notes. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.